Welcome back, everyone, to the Gold IRA Blueprint Deep Dive.
Mhm.
We're diving into a topic that's super relevant as you approach your golden years. We're talking about gold IRAs. It's a topic that can feel a bit, well, like uncharted territory at first,
Mm,
but we're here to be your guides.
exactly. We're going to break it all down, make it clear and simple so you can make those smart choices for your retirement.
All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is a gold IRA? I know it involves gold, obviously, but how is it different from a regular IRA?
Okay, so a gold IRA, it's like a specialized version of a self-directed IRA. It lets you invest in something tangible, actual physical gold, like, coins, bars, things like that, and other precious metals too.
So instead of stocks and bonds in your IRA, it's backed by actual gold.
You got it. And here's the kicker. It offers the same tax-deferred growth potential as a traditional IRA, but with that added bonus of holding something you can actually hold in your hands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, so before we go any further, we should mention we've put together a free checklist to help you choose the right Gold IRA company. It's
Yeah.
got all sorts of helpful tips, and you can snag it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
It's a really great resource, particularly if you're just starting to dip your toes into the world of gold IRAs.
Okay, so now that we know what a Gold IRA is, why would someone choose this path over a traditional IRA? What are the advantages?
Well, there are several potential benefits that really draw people to gold IRAs. One of the major ones is protection against that scary word, inflation.
Inflation, yeah, that's a big one, especially these days.
Right, and throughout history, gold has tended to hold its value really well, even when the dollar's buying power takes a hit.
So during those uncertain economic times when everything seems to be getting more expensive, gold could offer some stability. That's the general idea. And we have historical examples. For instance, back in the 1970s, remember, the US went through that rough patch with high inflation. Well, gold prices, they actually skyrocketed. People who had invested in gold saw their assets hold strong, while others saw their savings dwindle.
Wow, that's a powerful example. It really makes you think about how to safeguard your savings,
Yep.
especially as retirement gets closer.
Absolutely. And another key benefit is diversification. Just like you wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, you shouldn't put all your retirement funds into just one type of investment.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
because if the market takes a nosedive, a big chunk of your savings could vanish.
Exactly. Adding gold to your portfolio, it can help cushion that fall. Gold often marches to the beat of its own drum separate from the stock market. So when stocks are down, gold might be up, or at least holding steady, providing some balance to your overall investments.
So it's like a safety net potentially smoothing out the roller coaster ride of the market.
That's a great way to put it. And beyond that, there's also the potential for higher returns. While we know past performance doesn't guarantee future results, gold has historically done pretty well during those economically shaky times, sometimes even increasing in value when other assets are on the decline.
That's definitely intriguing. It sounds like a gold IRA could offer a really unique blend of stability and potential for growth, especially appealing as you plan for those retirement years.
Exactly. It's all about giving you more control and more options for your retirement nest egg.
Now, the source we've been looking at mentions three main types of gold IRAs, traditional Roth and SEP. Are these basically the same as the traditional IRA types, just with that gold twist?
They are. Each one, traditional Roth SB, they all come with their own set of tax advantages and they fit different financial situations. Choosing the right one for you, that's key. It's like choosing the best route to reach your destination. Some paths are better than others depending on where you're starting and where you want to end up.
So it's crucial to really understand the ins and outs of each type before jumping in. But before we get into those details, can you walk us through the actual steps of setting up a gold IRA? Where do you even begin?
Setting up a gold IRA involves a few key steps. The first one, you've got to find a reputable gold IRA company. Think of them as your guide, your Sherpa through this process. They'll help you navigate the whole gold IRA landscape, help you figure out the right type of IRA for you, find a custodian to hold your assets, and even connect you with dealers to buy your precious metals.
So finding that trustworthy company, that's step one. But how do you go about actually choosing one? What should you be looking for?
There are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, look for a company with a solid track record. Positive customer reviews. You want to make sure they're known for being transparent and reliable. They've been around the block.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're entrusting them with your retirement savings. So you definitely want to feel confident about their expertise and their honesty.
Absolutely. And don't forget to compare fees and services. Some companies might charge higher fees than others or offer different levels of support and guidance.
So shop around a bit, compare your options, and choose the company that fits your needs and your budget.
Got it. What happens after you've picked your gold IRA company?
All right, so next up, you open and fund your account. It's pretty similar to opening a traditional IRA. You provide the necessary paperwork and transfer funds from an existing retirement account, or make a new contribution.
Okay, so the money's in the account. Now, what do I get to go on a gold shopping spree?
Not exactly a spree,
Uh,
but you're getting closer. The next step is to work with a precious metals dealer to actually buy the golds for your IRA.
uh,
There's a little catch here. The gold you buy has to be IRS approved.
IRS approved gold. Huh. That's interesting. What does that even mean?
The IRS, they have specific guidelines about the type and purity of gold that can be held in a gold IRA. It's kind of like a quality control thing. You might invest in American Eagle or Canadian Maple Leaf coins or maybe gold bars from a really reputable source like Pampi Suisse. So I can't just melt down my old jewelry or buy some gold nuggets online.
Unfortunately not. Those IRS regulations, they ensure that the gold in your IRA meets certain standards of purity and fineness. It's all above board.
Okay, IRS approved gold. It is. So I've chosen my company, funded the account, and bought my gold. Where does it all go? Do I get to keep it in my safe at home?
Ah, that's a great question. And it leads us to the final step in the setup process. The IRS, they require that the physical gold you have in your IRA has to be stored in a secure IRS-approved depository.
An IRS approved depository.
Yeah.
What is that exactly, and why is it necessary?
Well, think of it like a super secure vault, specifically designed to store precious metals. These depositories, they meet all sorts of strict security and insurance standards. It's all about making sure your investment is safe. It's not just about protecting it from theft, but also ensuring it's stored in a way that checks all the boxes for the IRS regulations.
No building my own Fort Knox in the basement then,
Oh.
no matter how tempting.
Exactly. It's about peace of mind, knowing your investment is protected and compliant with all the rules. Now, setting up a gold IRA might sound a bit complicated, but honestly, with the right company guiding you, it's surprisingly straightforward.
That's good to hear. Speaking of guidance, I want to remind everyone about that free checklist we mentioned earlier. It's designed to help you find the perfect gold IRA company for you. You can download it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
It's packed with essential tips and questions to ask as you start researching.
Awesome. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and delve deeper into those benefits of a gold IRA. We touched on them briefly, but I'd love to unpack them a bit more. You talked about protection against inflation as a key advantage. Can you explain why that's so important, especially for those nearing or already in retirement?
Well, what's remarkable about gold is its historical resilience against inflation. You see, unlike paper currency, which can be printed endlessly and lose its value, gold has intrinsic value. It's a finite resource, and that scarcity that really contributes to its ability to hold its value over time.
So it's like a shield against the dollar losing its purchasing power.
Exactly. And as we talked about before, we've seen this play out in history. During the 1970s, with all that high inflation, gold prices soared while other assets floundered. This historical pattern makes a strong case for gold as an inflation hedge.
Like an anchor in stormy seas, helping you ride out those waves of economic uncertainty that come with inflation.
That's a great way to picture it. And for retirees, especially those living on a fixed income, protecting their purchasing power is absolutely crucial. A gold IRA, it could provide some peace of mind knowing a portion of their savings is invested in something that has historically held its value, even when prices are rising.
That peace of mind is priceless during retirement.
Yeah.
Now, besides inflation protection, you also mentioned diversification as a key benefit. Can you expand on why that's so important for a well-rounded retirement portfolio?
Think of your retirement portfolio like a symphony orchestra. You wouldn't want just one instrument playing, right? You need a variety of instruments to create that beautiful, harmonious, balanced sound. Well, a diversified retirement portfolio, it should include a mix of different asset classes. Stocks, bonds, real estate, and potentially precious metals like gold.
So just like an orchestra needs a variety of instruments, a retirement portfolio needs a variety of assets for balance and to reduce risk.
Exactly. Each asset class reacts differently to what's happening in the market. Stocks might do well when the economy is booming, while bonds tend to be more stable during those downturns. And gold, as we've discussed it, brings its own unique strengths to the table, adding a layer of protection and stability.
So it's about spreading the risk, not putting all your eggs in one basket. Diversifying your investments across different asset classes can help reduce risk and potentially boost your returns.
That's diversification in a nutshell. And when you're planning for retirement, managing risk is paramount. You've worked hard to build your nest egg, and you want to protect it from those market swings.
Absolutely. You want to enjoy your retirement without constantly stressing over every little dip in the market. So a gold IRA, with its potential for inflation protection and diversification, could be a valuable piece of that puzzle, creating a more resilient retirement portfolio.
You got it. It's all about adding layers of security and peace of mind to your financial future.
Now, you mentioned earlier that gold also has the potential for higher returns, particularly during times of economic uncertainty. Can you elaborate on that? I know past performance isn't a crystal ball, but historically, how has gold performed when things get a little rocky?
Let's take a trip back to 2008.
Mm.
Remember the financial crisis, all that crazy market volatility? Well, while many traditional assets like stocks and bonds took a big hit, gold actually saw some impressive gains. Its price surged as investors looked for a safe place to park their money amidst all the chaos.
So while the stock market was plummeting, gold was actually gaining value.
In many cases, yes, gold often moves in the opposite direction of the stock market. When fear and uncertainty grip the market, investors tend to flock to gold as a safe haven asset, driving up its price.
It's almost like an inverse relationship. When the market goes down, gold has the potential to go up.
That's a sharp observation. Of course, it's important to remember this isn't always the case. Gold prices can be unpredictable, and there's no guarantee it'll always be a winner during market downturns. But its historical performance during those tough times suggests it can potentially offer a level of protection and growth that other assets might not.
That's really interesting stuff.
Mm.
But before we get too far down the gold IRA rabbit hole, I want to remind our listeners about that free checklist we mentioned earlier. It's full of helpful advice and questions to consider when choosing a gold IRA company. It's available right now at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
It's a fantastic tool to have as you start your gold IRA journey.
All right, now we've covered the benefits, the setup, the ins and outs. But what about the rules and regulations surrounding gold IRAs? We talked about the IRS-approved gold requirement, but are there other guidelines to keep in mind?
You're right, there are definitely some more things to remember. Gold IRAs, they fall under the same IRS rules and regulations as traditional IRAs.
So it's not a free-for-all. There's still oversight and rules to follow.
Precisely. Those regulations are there to make sure your gold IRA is used for its intended purpose, saving for retirement. For example, there are contribution limits, just like with traditional IRAs. In 2023, the annual contribution limit for a gold IRA was $6,000 for folks under 50 and $7,000 for those 50 and older.
So you can't just dump all your savings into gold bullion overnight. It's about making those contributions strategically over time within those IRS guidelines.
Exactly. And when you want to take money out of your gold IRA, those distributions, there are rules for that too. Generally, you have to start taking those required minimum distributions or RMDs by April 1 of the year after you turn 72.
Okay, so similar rules apply to gold IRAs as traditional IRAs when it comes to contributions and distributions. But what about those prohibited transactions we mentioned before? Can you give us some real-world examples of what those might be?
Sure. Prohibited transactions are basically actions that break the IRS rules for IRAs, like you can't use your gold IRA funds to buy collectibles like art or antiques, or invest in personal assets like your own business or a vacation home.
So no buying a vintage baseball card collection with my retirement gold, no matter how tempting.
Afraid not. The IRS, they're pretty strict about those rules. And there are also rules about borrowing against your gold IRA or using it as collateral for a loan.
It's all about keeping that IRA squeaky clean and making sure it's used for what it's meant for securing your financial future in retirement.
Exactly. Understanding all those rules and regulations is really important for anyone thinking about a gold IRA. Working with a reputable gold IRA company and maybe even talking to a financial advisor can help ensure you're making smart choices and staying on the right side of the IRS.
Now, we've talked about setting up a gold IRA, the benefits, the rules, but let's circle back to those three types of gold IRAs, traditional Roth and SEP. Could you break down the main differences between them, especially when it comes to taxes?
Okay, so let's start with the traditional gold IRA. With this one, your contributions are made pre-tax, meaning you don't pay taxes on that money until you take it out in retirement.
So you get a little tax break up front, potentially lowering your tax bill right now.
Exactly. But you will pay taxes on those distributions when you retire, and the tax rate will depend on your income at that time.
So it's about weighing the pros and cons, a tax deduction now versus potentially paying taxes later.
That's it. Now, with a Roth Gold IRA, your contributions are made with after-tax dollars, so you've already paid taxes on that money.
So no upfront tax deduction with the Roth option.
Correct. But the great thing about the Roth is that qualified distributions in retirement are tax-free.
So you pay taxes now, but enjoy tax-free income later. That could be really appealing, especially if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket during retirement.
Exactly. It's a strategic move based on your current and future income and tax situation. And lastly, we have the SEP Gold IRA. This one's designed for self-employed individuals and small business owners.
So if you're an entrepreneur or freelancer, this is the gold IRA for you.
It could be a great option. It allows for much higher contribution limits than traditional or Roth IRAs. A big advantage for folks who are self-employed.
So it's like a supercharged IRA for entrepreneurs, helping them save more for retirement.
You could say that.
Wow.
And like with the traditional and Roth options, there are tax implications. Contributions to a SEP IRA are tax deductible, but distributions in retirement are taxed as ordinary income.
This is all super helpful. It sounds like choosing the right type of gold IRA is a crucial step in the process, and probably one that should be made with the help of a financial advisor.
Absolutely. A financial advisor can help you figure out what's best for your specific situation, your financial goals, and how much risk you're comfortable with.
That's great advice. It's always a good idea to get professional guidance when making big financial decisions.
I agree completely.
Well, we've covered a ton of information in this deep dive, from the basics of gold IRAs to the benefits, the setup process, the rules, and the different types available. I feel like I have a much better understanding of how they work and their potential role in a retirement portfolio. It's been really interesting learning about gold IRAs. But before we wrap things up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, that idea of gold being a safe haven asset.
Yeah.
You explained how gold has historically done well when the economy gets a bit shaky. What makes gold so special in that way? Why do investors turn to it when the market starts to wobble?
That's a really good question. Gold has this incredibly long history as a store of value. It goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Throughout history and across different cultures, gold has been seen as this precious, enduring asset.
So it's not just a shiny metal. It's a symbol of stability and lasting value that has resonated with people for centuries.
Exactly. And that historical context, that plays a big part in why gold is seen as a safe haven. When investors get nervous when they see all that turmoil in the markets, they tend to look for assets that have stood the test of time. Gold, with its track record of holding value, it fits that description perfectly.
Like finding shelter during a storm. You want something solid and dependable that can withstand the elements.
That's a great way to put it. And there's another factor that contributes to gold's safe haven status. It's limited supply. Unlike paper currencies, which central banks can just print more of, gold is a finite resource. There's only so much of it in the world.
Right. It's not like they're making more of it every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that scarcity, combined with the fact that people just naturally desire gold, it all helps gold keep its value even during those economic storms.
It's almost like a rare piece of art. The fewer there are, the more valuable they become.
Exactly. And during those uncertain times when people are worried about inflation eating away at their savings, gold can offer a sense of security. It's like that ballast in a ship, helping it stay steady during rough seas.
It's fascinating how gold's history, its scarcity, and its inherent qualities all come together to make it such a special asset, especially during those uncertain times.
It really is. It speaks to gold's enduring appeal and the role it can play in a well-diversified investment approach.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of gold IRAs. We've explored so much, from the benefits and the setup process to the rules and the different types of gold IRAs. I feel like I've got a much clearer understanding of how they work and how they could potentially fit into retirement planning. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we say goodbye?
Absolutely. If you're thinking about a gold IRA as part of your retirement plan, the key is to do your homework. Research those reputable gold IRA companies, compare their fees and services, and maybe even chat with a financial advisor to see if a gold IRA aligns with your personal goals and your risk tolerance.
Great advice. Knowledge is power, and arming yourself with information, that's the best way to make those informed decisions. And don't forget, for those of you ready to dive deeper into gold IRAs, we have that free checklist waiting for you at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's chock full of helpful tips for choosing the right gold IRA company and getting started on your path towards a golden retirement.
It's a fantastic resource to help you navigate the world of gold IRAs.
Until next time, everyone.